3, 2, 1.
What is up, YouTube? This is Nanashi, back with another Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck profile video. This time I'll be showing you the changes and updates to my alien deck. This video has been a very long coming and consistently delayed production because every time I've tried to update it before, something made me delay it. First time I tried to update it a little and make it look nicer, they revealed the Ogdoadics. Waited for them to come out and suddenly new alien support dropped. Then when the new alien support came out, Reptilianne got support. Then I tried to update it with Reptiliannes in hand and they revealed that brand new Ogdo card. While I was waiting for that spell to drop, more generic Reptile stuff comes out, and I get extremely lucky on that one because none of it works for my build. But barring that support and trying to ignore the workers' anxiety I'm now dealing with, the deck has been given a complete rewrite and plays like a whole new system that is geared to make aliens play better than I could have ever hoped. And you'll see what I mean when we take a closer look. Starting with the alien monsters, we have a playset of Alien Ammonite, the archetype's dedicated tuner. On normal summon, it resummons any 4-star or lower alien monster, but that monster you resummoned will self-destruct at the end of the turn. We have a playset of Alien Dog, because he will always be a good boy. If you normal summon an alien, he can special summon himself from hand, and if he does so, he also places 2 A counters among monsters your opponent controls. We have one Alien Kid, and even at 1, he is a cornerstone in the control aspect of this deck. He carries what's known as the reduction effect, where, if an alien monster battles an opponent's monster with an A counter, that opponent's monster loses 300 attack and defense per A counter it carries, and yes, that effect stacks. In addition, he also places an A counter on any special summon monster the opponent plays while he's face up. We have a pair of Alien Stealth Buster, a fantastic new addition to the family that brings a ton of versatility. As a hard once per turn, it can both target and place 2 A counters on any monster if it goes to the grave from anywhere, and except the turn it went there, it can banish itself from the grave to target and destroy any card carrying an A counter. We have one Alien Telepath, my replacement for main deck back row removal in this build. In addition to carrying the reduction effect, it can soft once per turn remove an A counter from an opponent's monster to destroy any spell trap on the field. And we have one Alien Overlord, the main deck boss monster. He can inherently special summon himself from hand by removing 2 A counters from anywhere, but you can only control 1 at a time. And in addition to carrying the reduction effect, it can soft once per turn place an A counter on every monster the opponent controls. Next is the Other Reptile monsters. First is a playset of Reptilianne Quaddle, a flexible tuner and extender. As a hard once per turn, you can special summon her from hand while you control a dark reptile, and if your opponent controls any monsters that have 0 attack, when you do this, she also special summons the same number of Reptilianne monsters from your hand. Also, if you synchro summon with her as material, you can treat her as a non-tuner, so drawing 2 is never a brick. And we have a playset each of the Ogdoadic remnants, Nalia and Nunu, who together act as a deck thinning, resource gathering, and spamming engine. As a hard once per turn, the Dark Nalia can both discard itself to send any light reptile from deck to grave, and it adds any Ogdoadic spell trap from the deck to the hand if it's normal or special summoned. And as a hard once per turn, the light Nunu can both discard itself to send any dark reptile from deck to grave, and it can summon itself from grave if you either control no monsters or an Ogdoadic monster, and if it's special summoned in this way, you can only summon reptile monsters while it's face up, which means nothing to me. Next is the spell cards. We have a playset of A-Cell Recombination Device, which has become even better thanks to Stealth Buster. It targets any monster, sends an alien from deck to grave, and places A counters on that target equal to the sent monster's level. And on a different turn than the one it went to the grave, you can banish it to add any alien from deck to hand. One Call by the Grave. We have a pair of Code Ancient Ruins, and I know it's blasphemous to not run 3, but the new support makes running 2 valid. It gains an A counter anytime 1 or more of your aliens are destroyed, and as a soft once per turn, it can remove 2 counters from anywhere to resummon any alien from your grave. One Monster Reborn. We have one Ogdoadic Serpent Strike, a continuous spell that appreciates Telepath's unique attributes. As a hard once per turn, it lets you both send any monster from hand or field to grave to target and resummon any reptile from grave who has a different attribute from what was sent. And during any main phase, it can send any reptile from deck to grave if a monster goes to your opponent's grave. And yes, that makes it a technical reimbursement from monster hand traps. We have a playset of Ogdoadic Water Lily, a spell that only gets better as the game goes on. As a hard once per turn, it sends any reptile from your deck to your graveyard. But when it resolves, if you have 5 or more reptiles in your grave with different names, it also lets you resummon any reptile from the grave, including the one you just dropped. We have a playset of Reptilianne Ramifications, a fantastic card for hand correction. You discard one card to pick 2 of the following 3 effects. You can search a Reptilianne monster from deck to hand, search a Reptilianne spell trap from deck to hand that isn't Ramifications, or turn an opponent's monster's attack to 0 without targeting. We have a pair of Reptilianne Spawn, the only one of their spells I find worth being ran generically outside of Ramifications. It banishes a Reptilianne monster from the grave to summon a pair of 1-star reptile tokens to your field. And we have a playset of Viper's Rebirth, which might be the one card everyone hates seeing in my build. If you only have reptiles in the grave, it resummons any non-tuner monster from your grave, but it self-destructs at the end phase. Now I only play one trap card, and it's a single copy of Planet Pollutant Virus. It tributes an alien monster, destroys all opponent's monsters that don't have A counters, and until the opponent's third end phase after activation, any monster the opponent plays gains an A counter. Next we move into the side deck. I'm still playing a playset each of Cosmic Cyclone, Dark Ruler No More, Solemn Johnson, Solemn Strike, and Solemn Warning. And finally we get to the extra deck. We have a playset of Cosmic Fortress Golgar, the card that enables my version of a win con. As a soft once per turn, it can both return any number of face-up spell traps to the hand to distribute A counters among monsters equal to the number returned, which does include field spells and pendulum scales by the way, and it can remove 2 A counters from anywhere to destroy any opponent's card without targeting. Because the bounce to generate is soft once per turn, just like Codex Ancient Ruins Resummon, both of these cards in tandem create what's commonly known as the Golgar loop. We have a pair of Reptilianne Melusine, the perfect level synchro monster aliens have been needing. It's generic to summon, but it can't be destroyed by battle or card effects if it was synchro summoned using only reptiles as material. And it can once per chain target and change any opponent's monster's attack to 0 when they activate a monster effect, and if the opponent does manage to send the synchro summon card to the graveyard, it adds any reptile from deck to hand. We have a playset of King of the Feral Imps, a monster that is easily spammed thanks to those Ogdoadic twins. It can attach a material to add any reptile from deck to hand. We have a pair of Alien Shock Trooper M-Frame, great for setup and mass recovery. As a hard once per turn, it can both discard a monster to place A counters equal to its level among any monsters on the field, and if it's destroyed and sent to the grave, it can resummon any non-link reptiles from the grave up to the number of monsters the opponent controls that have at least 1 A counter. We have a playset of Reptilianne Echidna, yet another mass searcher that is now used as a step-up piece. As a hard once per turn, it can both target and reduce an opponent's monster's attack to 0 on link summon, and it can add any number of reptile monsters from deck to hand up to the number of monsters the opponent controls with 0 attack. And we have a pair of Cosmic Pincer Zerol, the new extra deck boss monster of the archetype. While it's face up, all opponent's monsters with an A counter cannot activate their effects and are forced to defense mode if possible, both of which are independent by the way, so it's a better Baguska. In addition, as a hard once per turn, it can both add any card from deck to hand that generates A counters whenever it's link summoned, and it can remove 2 A counters from anywhere on the field to allow an additional normal summon of a reptile. And that is the deck. This deck is officially the most flexible deck I have. It can easily go first or second with the number of optional effects that it can throw at the opponent, and the excessive amounts of reptile good stuff are what made that happen. I won't say every issue with the deck has been solved because it still has an attack cap of 2600, so reducing stats is mandatory to play them. And if I had to name a personal gripe, I'm not a huge fan of the defense lock on Zerol. Not even because I have a dislike for floodgates or anything, aliens have always been a control deck at their core. The real issue is putting everything in defense mode makes getting game damage way harder, and nothing here does piercing. But that's another reason I like the Golgar loop, because it gives me 3 non-targeting destructive effects that can help me clear the board and breach that game damage. I thank you for watching the deck profile video. If you can think of any ways I can improve this reptile-only deck, feel free to let me know. In the meantime, this has been Nanashi, signing out.
Come on.